Chairman Buscaino. I'm joined by Mr. Kokorian and Mr. Bonin. We are here, we are ready, and let's move on to the agenda. Let's first take members of the public who pulled multiple comment cards. I'd like to call up Antonia Ramirez. And while you're up here, Ms. Ramirez, I'll give you your 1 minute general public comment. So you'll be given 2 minutes on the multiple cards that you pulled and 1 minute for general public comment. Good afternoon and welcome.
Thank you very much. I am compelled to point out the dire, callous, and dismissive disposition of the City of Los Angeles under our atrocious Mayor Eric Garcetti and our putrid City Attorney Michael Feuer, for they have failed to make safe, clean, sanitary, private, decent, discreet accommodations for all our tourists, travelers, and passengers. What I mean is that there are no fucking toilets anywhere in the City of Los Angeles.
Please hold our time. Ms. Ramirez, you need to speak on the agenda items.
Oh, I thought we were doing the public comments
multiple cards first.
Oh.
Okay.
Well.
So go ahead. Continue on your general public comment. You got 34 seconds.
Thank you very much. Or you must pay. Secondly, there are no trash cans anywhere in the City of Los Angeles. And thirdly, Los Angeles is uninhabitable. It's filthy. It stinks. It's unsafe, highly contagious, of homeless pigs and rodent infestations. So when it's time to go, you'll have urinary tract infection. Packed all your trash in a suitcase. No time for souvenirs. And you'll have caught typhus, MRSA, encephalitis, hepatitis, lung infection, scabies, bedbugs, polio, TB, and so on. So don't come to Los Angeles. Yeah, again, it's a caveat. We're forewarning you.
Okay, and so now give her 2 minutes on the multiple cards.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Number one.
The items, please.
Thank you. Number one, item number one. First and foremost, it is pilot safety. We must always protect the safety of our pilots. For without our pilots, we go nowhere. There is no tourism, there is no trade, and there is no money. And what I mean by that is, ladies and gentlemen, we need to make sure that our pilots are informed of any and all changes, anything that transpires within the large LAWA organization and the city and all that are involved. They need to know what is on the table. They also need to be part of the selection process. So again, we must include our pilots in everything. We need to streamline the information, all of it, whether it's good, bad, urgent. They need to know everything. It needs to be importantly placed on the table and exposed. Full exposure is what these pilots need so they can make adequate decisions in their lives as well as their passengers. And I will go ahead and I will end it there. And again, God bless America. God bless Donald Trump. And we're fighting for the beauty of the world. God bless America.
Thank you. Herman, please come forward. 2 minutes of cards that you've pulled, the multiple cards, multiple item card rather, and then 1 minute of general public comment.
Fuck the Los Angeles World Airports. No one's safe. What are the safeguards at the LA airport? When you got wetbacks and Armenians coming in, taking our entitlements by infectious diseases.
Stick to the items, last one.
That is, sir.
Stick to the items.
Airports. Then I go into the other fucking items, such as item 3, time limit, last day for consul's action regarding a contract DA 5063 with Myers. And these fucking attorneys are fucking us the way Mike Feuer's attorneys fuck you people of Los Angeles. And then we go into item number 4. Fuck the Board Harbor Commission and fuck Jose Weezer and his ex-staff that come in here lying about the fucking warehouses they want to put.
We're not talking on the item, so you just forfeited your time. Give him his 1 minute.
I'm talking about warehouses, fool.
General public comment. 1 minute. General public comment.
Este pinche puto es sordo José Italiano es un católico puto. Igual como el otro maricón puto. Tú, pinche puto, en camisa azul, igual que el otro cabrón ahí, porque ustedes nunca cambiaría para nada. No había justicia, no había nada de bueno para este pinche mundo por la crisis de abusos de un pinche putos relaciones de este sobra vida. In other words, Fuck Joe Busciano, the Italian, and his stupid fucking cunt wife and 2 kids. Fuck the stupid Armenian with no bar license because he's stupid with H-Rag. And the other dumb transportation nigger, Mr. Bonin, the diet asshole, and his orange monster drink. Shove it up your fucking white ass, you stupid niggers.
Eric Previn, you'll have 2 minutes on the multiple cards that you pulled. Eric Previn, please come forward. And you also have 1 minute of general public comment.
Thank you. It's Eric Previn from Studio City. I've never been to this meeting, and I appreciate the charge here. And LAX is one of the biggest, city managed in part situations, LAWA. And I know the city, we share that with other parts of the county. Bonin is in charge in his district, Janice Hahn's district.
Which item are you speaking to? Hold this
Yeah,
down.
the LAX item number 3 is about
Okay,
legal
stick to the item.
services, and Myers Nave is a law firm that the city frequently employs. They're well regarded by the city. They were engaged on numerous things. This is an increase, not in the cost, but in the time of their contract. They spent about, I believe, sort of 600 of the 800,000 on the last contract. So this is an amendment to extend it for 2 years. They have 187,000 left. The other firm, Kaplan, Kirshen, Rockwell, spent less. They only spent. They have about 400,000 left, I believe, of the 975,000. The question has arisen, though, because Greg Smith came up to Budget and Finance yesterday and trotted into the closed session with the Budget and Finance machers, of which 2 are seated next to you, sir. And, he wants to get $600,000 to Myers Nave to whip up another lawsuit. We lost on appeal to the federal government and the state, trying to get some cleanup at Santa Susana. I'm concerned because I want to know if the Form 55 for Myers Nave has been filled out. The Ethics Commission doesn't know. They also are the jail people. Corian will remember they had a conflict with this county because they were doing land use studies on these big, disgusting jails that nobody really wants or needs. We need to do something, but not that. And I'm just concerned that they provide a kind of a veiled service for the city. They also were responsible for $1.4 million in collection from the city on the lost decorum wars that results in comments.
1 minute general public comment.
So, in general public comment, I don't know how the city of Los Angeles can function in this kind of secrecy. The amendments to these things, Ana Guerrero herself, who's the chief of staff for Mayor Garcetti, signed this little just extend everything and let's move forward. I don't doubt that there's legal work to be done, but when lawyers are left to play, and the public is shut out as we are routinely, it's extremely worrisome. Now, you may say there's no chance that an upstanding law firm is going to, pull one over on the public or submit additional billings or extend things until they can just get past but they do. They do it all the time. And I have been dogged in my ability, my efforts to try to hold them accountable, and yet I can't here at City of LA because there's just an unbelievable veil of secrecy. And when we talk about the budget for litigations, there is no discussion really. There's just a posting of the what? How did that happen? And yet it's all the same characters year over year. Mayor Garcetti's been here for almost 13 years, or someone can do the math. So we just have to get a better handle on this. And I think
Thank you.
making
Time's up.
complaints
Hey, is there a Jamal Blades?
available would be great. Thank you.
Jamal Blades, please come forward. Okay, he's not here. How about a Baines Bright? Okay, so with that, we'll close general public comment. Colleagues, if I can turn your attention to the agenda. I'd like to take on consent items 2 through 7, unless you want to hold any of those items on the desk. Okay, hearing none, we'll approve items 2 through 7 on consent and send those to council.
Committee members, as part of your action on items 2 and 3, do you wish to approve the related CAO reports that were submitted after the publication of the agenda?
Without objection.
Thank you, sir.
That'll be the order. Okay, we have item number 1. Item number 1 is now before us.
Good afternoon, John White, City Clerk's Office. Item 1, LAWA to report relative to a strategy for developing the Los Angeles International Airport Transportation Management Organization.
Good afternoon and welcome.
Afternoon. Thank
Afternoon.
you. Great to be here. Samantha Bricker, Deputy Executive Director at LAWA for the Environmental Programs Group, and the TMO organization as well. Just wanted to provide an update as to where we are on the development of a TMO. As you recall, in November, the council passed a motion asking LAX to look into the development of a transportation management organization as a potential solution to transportation needs around the airport. It was also identified in our LAMP environmental program document as a possible measure that we might want to include moving forward. And so the TMO is really kind of an umbrella organization which is used to identify transportation management and transit options, to develop policies and programs, and to encourage alternative forms of transportation. So the motion asks that we report back on the strategy to develop the TMO. And so over the last few months, we've spent some time looking into this issue. So we evaluated our current rideshare programs that we offer to LAWA employees. We worked with adjacent cities on their transportation demand management programs, such as the city of Inglewood. We surveyed our employers to see what programs they're currently offering, and we developed a scope of services for an outside consultant to look into implementing a TMO for LAX. And we didn't want to just limit it to LAX on our campus. We also wanted to look at the possibility of bringing in the Business Improvement District, which is just adjacent and employs hundreds, if not thousands of people. We also wanted to look at what our adjacent cities are doing in our communities. So we did not want to limit the scope of the consultant. We wanted to really look at what was feasible. So just a real quick summary, LAWA does offer a rideshare program, but only to LAWA employees. So we have, about 3,600 employees. We have about 740 participants, about 20% of our workforce, which is not bad considering that it's a very limited program. There's a transit subsidy, the flyaway buses that you've heard about. We also encourage our employees who are coming from long distances to use those services. We have almost 500 people in van pools, and we have carpools. But again, the issue is it's a very robust program, but only for LAWA employees. And so I think one of the key tasks for this consultant is to look and see how to expand those programs, how to bring the LAX employers and other businesses that are on our campus into the program, and then again to look and see what other employers are already doing. We don't want to duplicate efforts, but we want to see if we can bring those efforts together and get more bang for our buck. As we start construction, as you know, for our LAMP program and many of the other programs, employee parking is going to be difficult to accommodate. We don't want employees to park in neighborhoods, which has been an issue. And so part of the impetus of really trying to maximize ride sharing, get people out of their cars, is to really get a jump start on what we see could be a potential issue during construction. So we feel like this motion really helped jumpstart this process. It helped us to get thinking about what we can do to get employees into other forms of transportation and minimize those thousands of cars coming into the airport. So the timing is quite good. As I mentioned, we are working with Inglewood on a TDM program. They've gone out for a consultant to look at a shuttle program that would serve almost the 4,000 LAX employees that live in the city of Inglewood. And this also, again, helps to alleviate those employees coming and parking at the airport. It helps to, encourage carpooling, encourage people to go to a fixed stop in the city of Inglewood, jump on a shuttle, and then come into LAX. So Inglewood has already started on that consultant process and for an operator to run the service. So we're looking to partner with them to get that up and running as quickly as possible. We also wanted to see what our employers are doing. We have almost 4,000 employees, but almost 50,000 people work at the airport. So we wanted to survey the concessionaires, see how their employees get to work, rental car companies for their employees, the airlines and service companies that are inside the terminals, and then the non-terminal groups, cargo and tenants on Century. And one of the things that makes LAX difficult is we have a lot of people who come into the central terminal area, but we have a lot of people on other parts of our campus. So, Imperial Highway is a whole different area of where people work. A lot of people work on the west side, at Admin West. A lot of people work on Century. So part of the challenge is going to be Where does it make sense to implement these type of programs? How broad of a program should it be? And who can be included? So we did this initial survey. We got about a 35% participation. And we found that almost 40% do offer some sort of alternate transportation. Again, the idea is to see what's already out there and how do we build on it? How do we expand it? And how do we get more people to use it? We don't want to duplicate what some of these employers are already doing. They're already spending money to get people to take alternative forms of transportation. How do we enhance those programs? And how do we market them so more people take them? So this survey was a first step for that, and obviously those results will be passed on to our consultant as they develop these programs. And then, as I mentioned, we've just issued a scope of services for a consultant to really look at all of the programs that are offered to LAWA employees, to look at programs offered to the LAX employers, and then to start polling businesses on Century and adjacent communities and see what they're doing. We also are benchmarking other airports to see who has successful TDM programs and how they do it. We're looking at other agencies, especially in Los Angeles, where there are good TMOs, to see how they do it. We don't want to reinvent the wheel. We want to look at a model that works and see how we can bring it to LAX. It's a 6-month study. They are underway. Part of a big chunk of it is stakeholder inclusion and engagement, working with the elected officials, working with businesses, working with employers, and compiling a variety of options and recommendations. We will bring internally, but we'll also, of course, bring back to you and to the electeds to see how we can formulate a good option going forward. And then just, we've compiled LAX employees by council district, and the city of Los Angeles is almost a third of the LAX employees who come to LAX every day. And with 15,000, but if you look at 8, 9, 10, and 15, and 11, that's a huge chunk of employees who are coming in from the city of Los Angeles who really could benefit with alternative transportation, looking at different options that can serve them. Especially, 8, 9, 10, and 11 are close to LAX, coming up with ways of connecting to the new Crenshaw line, ways of, maximizing the investment that's already being made, and how do we get that last couple miles to LAX? That's going to be the key. And then these are just the next steps. Obviously, to work with the consultant, to follow up on the survey, to inventory current programs, to do the important stakeholder outreach and see what's already out there and what makes sense for LAX, and then to develop basically a menu of options. Everything from expand what you already have to set up a new TMO that we would either run or a nonprofit could run or a third party could run. We have not even made that decision yet. We've put everything on the table. And we've brought it up with several of our partners, such as airlines, such as the Gateway Bid, and there seems to be a lot of interest in everyone working together to come up with a comprehensive solution. And I'm happy to answer any
Thank you. I'm going to turn to the maker of the motion here, Mr. Bonin, for questions, comments.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Samantha and Lawa, for the work on this. I'm really excited by the potential for this, and I'm glad to see the scope that you're taking. I think wide is better. I think bigger is better. I think ambitious is better on this. I have this will be disturbing to the chair of our budget committee on whose panel I sit, but I have a horrible memory with numbers. But which is why I often vote.
Excellent staff.
Exactly. Thank God for that. But I've really been intrigued by the possibility of TMOs for the past several years. We did a big, huge community workshop a couple years ago near Sunset and the 405 with a lot of transportation experts, and we got a presentation on the TMO at UCLA. And the number of people visiting UCLA on a daily basis is significantly higher than it was a couple decades ago, but there are fewer car trips, and that is a big deal. and the ability to do something similar at the airport, particularly with the possibility of what's coming in as we're making billions of dollars of investments, is huge, and it helps everybody. It helps the local community if we can do this. It helps the employees to relieve some stress, and it helps those who are coming to the airport because conceivably there's less congestion as a result. I was glad to see that there's pieces of stuff already in existence. I won't prejudge the study, but I will say I hope we wind up. You said you don't want to duplicate. I'd almost hope that we don't try to see a bunch of different detached pieces grow, but that we can sort of pool our resources. Because I personally kind of think the idea of having a TMO run by a nonprofit or a third party is the way to go. LAX can be a huge convener in that. It just has an outsized role to play in bringing the airlines together, the aviation-related industries and stuff like that. And there could be some really significant impact on that. You said it would be 6 months, and then what will be the steps after that?
So we've included in the scope of work of a follow-up task, assuming that a TMO would get selected, to actually develop the TMO and implement it. The consultant is Steer, who has been very instrumental in the TMOs in Warner Center as well as in Santa Monica, and they have a very good track record in implementing these type of programs. And so we've allowed for that option to be able to go ahead and develop, market, discuss an operations plan, and implement the TMO. So that would be the next step after that, assuming that option was selected. And that's already built into their scope of work and their contract. Again, that could be done. We could issue the contract.
Yep.
A third party could. A nonprofit could. And to your question, one of the things that we've noticed is quite a few of the airlines, for example, run shuttles. So instead of everyone running their own shuttle, hopefully this could bring some consolidation. Which
Exactly,
really,
just like we'll be doing with the Conrack.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And so I think that's the point, is to inventory what's out there, and maybe a shuttle is a fantastic idea from certain communities or from certain spots off the airport,
Yep.
but we can consolidate those efforts.
Yeah. As you and the consultant look at this, I'd also keep an eye on whether or not there are cap and trade funds that could help get this going. Mr. Buscaino will personally get tons of money from AQMD to help with this, and I want to as you do this, I think there's sort of three different pieces to sort of weigh. I'm really glad there's so much of a focus on the stakeholder feedback. I think that needs to be sort of one of three legs of the stool. There's a stakeholder feedback to see what the appetite is, but that appetite may not envision entirely what's possible. So that would be one leg of the stool. The second is what you're doing, looking at the other TMOs. I mentioned UCLA. There's also Warner Center. There's a citywide TMO for Santa Monica, and the third is just making sure that as we imagine stuff is what's going to be there in a few years. With the metro connection and with the people mover and the intermodal transportation facilities and stuff like that. I think my staff has shared with you some of my thoughts. I hope that the geographical area of focus is a broad one, not just the airport, but the aviation-related industries. For the stakeholder feedback, not just the gateway bid on Century, but I know the Westchester Chamber is the LAX Coastal Area Chamber, I call it by its old name, is very enthused about this, and there's a lot of stakeholders. I'm sure even talking to the South Bay COG, and their constituent bodies would be helpful, making sure that there's a system sort of seamless with the badging at LAWA and stuff would also be key. But this is all really exciting stuff. I'm glad to see this. I know LAWA has a lot on its plate. You're doing a lot, especially now that I want the APM to be built without any negative consequences for the neighbors. But you guys can do this too.
Do it.
Thanks.
Yeah. Thank you.
Okay, fantastic. Thank you, Mr. Bowden. Mr. Krikorian?
Very quick question on scope. Among the best practices that other programs have implemented, has there been a look at TNCs as part of either the problem or the solution?
Yes, there's been a little bit of a look at that, but that will definitely have to be part of this. I mean,
Okay.
we're looking at really anything from TNC to scooters to micro transit, which is a new pilot project that Metro is starting. I mean, really anything that could help feed major stations or major regional transit and feed the airport, we're looking at that. And really, you know, you're talking about a couple of miles in a lot of cases, whether it's the Green Line or the Crenshaw Line. You know, our new train will obviously help with that, but we are looking to see both the good and bad for many of these, and to see how we can either partner with them or figure out a way that makes that work for us.
Good. I think a robust look at that is important, given the changes in the staging area due to construction, the sort of failures of the whole geofencing concept that are really going to impact Mr. Bonin's district. I think, especially in if this is going to be part of the solution. Their failure to adhere to some of LAWA's rules on an ongoing basis have, I think, created a heck of a lot of problems at the airport. And so I would hope that as we look at that, that's going to be one of the things that we're looking deeply at as well. Thank you.
Well, no action here, colleagues, just a verbal report, and I appreciate that. Thank you so much. With that, it's a final item. We're now adjourned. Thank you.
Okay, I gotta hit.
Thank you, Joe. Cool. Another land speed record. I like that kind of efficiency.